What are art buyers, customers, people who buy art? What are art buyers looking for? What is their mindset? We're going to talk about that and more today in Art Marketing Monday. And this is Art School Live. Welcome. I'm Eric Rhodes. Art School Live is all about helping you if you're an artist of any kind, whether you're selling pot holders or paintings, whether you're selling drawings or photographs, your crafts, whatever it might be. Today, I'm going to talk to you about some things that you can do, things that you can think about that might make you more successful, help you make more sales or more money or more progress in whatever it is. My goal is to help you increase your sales. I will provide feedback on your questions live. And so if you have questions, you can come on live today. And I also have some questions that I'm going to answer in case nobody comes on live, because you never know. Okay, so if you want to come on live, here's how to do it. Just go to artschool.live and then follow the instructions. Allow the mic and the camcorder artschool.live-stream, and then follow the instructions, and we'll do that. Okay, I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and many, many, many other things, dozens of other projects, newsletters, events, all related to art, mostly related to art. We've taught literally millions of people how to paint. We have taught lots of them how to market, how to sell their art. And I have spent my entire career learning about marketing and understanding marketing. I've made some very expensive mistakes, very expensive mistakes. And those mistakes are something you're going to make too. Maybe not all that expensive. If you can learn from me and from others and help you prevent how to keep from messing up like I have, that's going to be great. So if you want to come on live, we hope you'll do it. Before we start, I want to talk about a couple of things. Let's talk about the mind of an art buyer. Now, the mind of an art buyer is different than the mind of a shampoo buyer. And all marketing is essentially the same, except it's a little different because art's quite a bit different. Art is something that is not a necessity in people's lives. It's not like, when you run out of shampoo, you go out and buy another bottle, but it does have a lot of the same principles. What bottle are you going to buy? What are you going to try? How do you get somebody to try something new, etc. Author Roy Williams, who's a very dear friend of mine, been a friend for 30 plus years. In his first book, The Wizard of Ads, he talked about the importance of seeing yourself from outside of the bottle. You see, we're all inside of the bottle. We're seeing the back of the label. We're immersed in our product, but we're not seeing how other people see us. And we need to look for ways that we can learn how other people see us, how they see our art, how they respond to our art, what things turn them on, what things turn them off. Now, it's going to be different for everybody, but you're looking for patterns. If you can find a pattern of something, that's a really good thing. So I've done some things in the past to help look for patterns. Now, here's a couple of them. I spent a day at one of my art galleries. I'm in 3. And I was there and I just observed. I was just kind of looking like another customer looking at paintings. And I spent an entire day there watching how people responded to art, watching and listening how they talked about it. What were the decision points that they were going through when they were talking about should we buy it or not? Once in a while, they were looking at my artwork, and I heard them say things that really hurt my feelings, but I needed to know them. I remember one time I was watching, and this woman said, I really like that, but it's too dark. I remember another one saying, that would go good in our living room if it had a little purple in it to match the couch. It's like, oh, okay. But those are kinds of the things that go through some art buyers' minds. Other art buyers go through things like, I don't know anything about that artist. And why don't we go with an artist that we know is going to be reliable, that will be worth something in the future if we decide to sell it? There's a lot of different mindsets. So one thing you could do is you could ask a gallery. If you're in a gallery, you could say, hey, could I be a salesperson for a day? I'll work for free for the day, no commissions, nothing. And I'll answer questions about art. I'll sell art for the day, because you get a chance to talk to art buyers and ask them and help them find things that they love. And it helps you understand what they're thinking. It's a little hard to do research on paintings, but there are people who do it, especially people who are in the print business. If you're in the print business, you're not going to put 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 different prints in Target. You're going to put 10 of them, and you want to know the 10 that are going to sell the best. And so they go through processes to research that. You'll also find that hotel chains do that. There are companies that specialize just in making art for hotel changes or for hotel rooms. Like the art in every hotel room is usually the same. Sometimes they'll mix it up, but they're trying to make sure that they have something that makes people feel right, the right vibe for the hotel. If it's a modern hotel, they're wanting something a little bit more modern. If it's a homey, like Homewood Suites or something, maybe they want something that's a beautiful farm scenes or something. So it's good to find out how those people think. You could talk to them, but listen for responses. One of my galleries, I have a deal with where anytime I sell a painting, they give me the name of the buyer. And I usually write them a card, but sometimes if I get a chance, I can call them and I can just say, hey, I just want to call them, thank you for buying my painting. And it's an opportunity to just say, hey, what just curious, what was it that you really liked about that? You know, uh, what about it? And then it's also an opportunity to say, by the way, I've got a couple other things. Now, if I were going to do that, I'd sell them through the gallery, but it's a nice way to do that and to upsell people. So if you want to come on live, here's how you do it. You go to artschool.live and /stream. And then you're going to be asked to allow your microphone and some things like that. So if you want to come on live, we'd love to have you. So let's move forward to some of the first questions that we have. This is Carol Ferguson. I don't know where Carol is from. She says, does entering your paintings in shows increase their value? Well, Carol, the answer to that is flat out no. But there are some things you need to consider. There is benefit that you're going to receive by entering your paintings. We'll talk about that in a minute. But entering can increase the value of your paintings if you win in any category. For instance, we have one called Plein Air Salon, which is actually not just plein air. It's about a lot of other things. There's figure categories, portrait categories, sunsets, sunrises, all kinds of things like that. If you enter a painting into a category and you win, let's say you enter in August and you win in August, now you have something to talk about. You can do a press release. I won the best nocturne painting in the plein air salon. You have something to put in your resume. You have something to put on your website. You have something to talk about. And that, in theory, increases your value as a brand, but it also increases the value of that particular painting. I went to a show one time. This was not an art show. It was a collector's show of people who collected carved wooden ducks. And the ones that had ribbons on them always sold for more money because they were increased in value. And so if you have the opportunity at an art show to put a ribbon next to a painting, you should, in theory, be able to get more money for that painting at an art show. And even on your website, put something that says this was the number one painting at this event or that event. And you should be able to charge a higher price for it because it's more valuable. In theory, I think most people would agree with that. So the other thing is the bonus that you get from entering a painting. Now, when you enter a painting, what happens is your mindset changes. Here's what happens. I entered a painting in an art show a long time ago, and I was about to enter it, and I was looking at my photograph of it, and I thought, I need to fix a couple of things on that painting. So I worked on it. I had plenty of time, so I worked on it, photographed it again, and then I looked at the photograph before I entered it, and I thought, you know what? It's still not right. Something's not right about it. If I were just finishing that painting and putting it out there, I probably wouldn't have gone through that. But because I was entering it into a show, I was trying harder. I was looking at it more critically. I was trying to look at it from the standpoint of what somebody else sees. Have you ever had somebody visit your house and you're walking them through your house and saying, there's the living room, there's the family room, and you notice all the things that need to be fixed? It's like, oh, I should paint that. That's looking a little dirty. Oh, there's some dust in the corner over there. You don't notice those things on a day-to-day basis, but because you've switched your mindset, you're touring somebody into your house. Now all of a sudden your mindset has changed. Well, the same thing happens when you're entering paintings into competitions. And one thing that was told to me by Peter and Elaine Adams, who run the California Art Club, they said, we have single-handedly elevated the quality of art in Southern California to their members. Well, they have members all over the world, but they elevated the quality because when people enter art shows, they try harder. If they don't win, they try harder the next time. If they don't win, they keep trying harder. Then they want to keep winning, keep entering. And as a result, all the ships rise. And that's the goal. And that's the goal of the plein air salon competition, is to get everybody painting better. And so when you have that mindset that you're going to get better, it's going to have a professional impact on the way you think about things, and it makes you try harder. So give that some thought. Okay, let's just look real quickly and see if we have somebody who is a guest. 𝗕𝗂𝘆𝗶𝗴, welcome back.
Hey, Eric, thanks for having me on the show.
What's your question, Neil?
All right, so my question is, what if art marketing wasn't just about promoting art, but also about creating a portal to alternate dimensions, hidden worlds, or parallel universes? How would you design a marketing strategy that transports viewers into the art itself?
Well, that's over my head, Neil. Your questions, you must have a very high intellect, high IQ. I think
I've got a stack of questions.
Go ahead, say that again.
I've got a stack of questions if you want to pass on that one.
No. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it in a way that's probably not exactly what you're looking for. Okay. Art marketing isn't always about selling art. It's about selling you. And whenever, there's a lot of things, a lot of techniques that are used to get people excited about something that have nothing to do with a direct sale. If you look at movie marketing, for instance, movie marketing is a great way to learn about things. You watch the trailer. In a world where everybody is upside down, you're creating curiosity. And so a lot of artists are really brilliant at creating curiosity about themselves. Look at Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was a product. And he even, if you look at the documentary, which I recently watched, he even realized and said he was a product. So everything he did, he looked at it from the standpoint of, I'm a product. What can I do to enhance my brand? What can I do to enhance my product? And a lot of artists, you look at Banksy. Well, what is it about Banksy? Nobody knows who he is, right? There are artists out there, Banksy might be, a person in a shirt and tie and an accountant. You just don't know. At least I don't think anybody knows who he is. But there are artists who look for ways to reinforce their crazy artist image. There are artists who wear certain clothing to reinforce their crazy artist image or their artist image. We have an artist by the name of 𝗕𝗂𝘆𝗆 who does videos for us. And I said to Eric, he came in for his video shoot. He had this hat on. I said, never take that hat off. This is part of your brand for the rest of your life, And we put his photo in there. So I think what you're looking for is you're looking for ways to create interest, intrigue. People want to know more about you if you're doing something crazy. Now, you can go too crazy. I have an art gallery friend who told me that they asked an artist to leave the gallery after one of their buyers, a woman, had bought one of the paintings from this gallery of that particular artist. And she saw something on social media that artist was doing. I think it was political. So the artist had done something pro one candidate or another. And the buyer said, every time I look at that painting, I think about that, and I don't want to think about that. So I don't. So the idea would be, you got to be careful about what you're projecting out there. I've had a call to a couple of artists that I work with and said, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will tell you that I'm getting some negatives about you promoting your political beliefs. because just think about this. Half of the people on this side of the screen like one thing, half of the people on this side of the screen like the other thing. And if I get, that's why I never talk politics. If I get political, I'm going to lose half my audience, or I'm going to make them mad. So you've got to be thinking about that. Now, some artists don't care. I have one artist, he said, that's who I am. And if I lose sales, that's okay. And I said, well, okay, that's fine. I just want you to be aware of it. So, but if you're showing pictures on Facebook of things that might be turning some people off, it might be okay. It might be reinforcing your crazy artist image, and it might turn other people on. But you just have to decide that. So it's more complicated than, it's probably not as complicated as that question, Neil, but it's more complicated, the overall feel. So I'm going to give you a bonus question now, since you said you have a whole bunch of them.
Okay. Let's see here.
Oh, you're not prepared. Okay, we're coming back to you.
What
Okay.
strategy can artists use to balance commercial appeal with artistic growth and credibility, especially in the oil painting medium? So,
what does commercial appeal mean? What does that mean to you?
It means avoiding pitfalls of over commercialization.
What is over commercialization?
Like prioritizing merchandise over artistic development, and still build a successful career in oil painting.
All right. So let me ask you this. Tell me the name of, who do you think is one of the top luxury brands in the world?
Like the Sharper Image? Is that what you're talking about? Or you mean like an art brand?
No, a luxury brand. Like, okay, a luxury brand, Sharper Image. Do you think Sharper Image over commercializes things?
No.
And why? Why do you think that?
Because they put magazines in airplane pockets. They don't put it in your face. They just have it available. They don't market. I've never seen Sharper Image market in somebody's face. They do anything guerrilla or.
Well, it may not be guerrilla, but I guarantee you that they've spent a huge amount of money on copywriting the paragraph about that particular product. Their job is to sell a product, and their job is to figure out how to get their product and their brand in front of you. And they, so they're putting it into airplanes, and they're spending a lot of money to put it into airplanes. I don't think they do that anymore. But let's look at a luxury brand like, let's say, Louis Vuitton. I can buy, probably, I haven't checked this lately, but I can buy a Louis Vuitton coffee cup, a coffee mug, for probably $600. Now, why would I pay $600 for a coffee mug that the logo is going to wear off in the dishwasher? And that's because, and by the way, I'm not a brand guy when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't buy luxury brands. I buy all my clothes at Walmart and Target. But the idea here is that there are people who will pay money. I'll tell you a quick story, Neil. My wife and another person, I have to be careful because I don't want to discourage, I mention any names, but my wife was with someone, and this person said, "Oh, I love that shirt you're wearing. Where did you get it?" And my wife said, "Well, I bought a 10-pack for $5 at Target or Walmart or something." And the other person said, "Oh, this is Ralph Lauren. This was $2,600. It was exactly the same thing. And and it was kind of an awkward moment. And so, but there are people who buy brands, and I'm not being critical of them. This is, some people always want the best. And some people believe that, something from Louis Vuitton is going to be better than something from Walmart. And by the way, it probably is, probably better thread, better, better everything. And they're going to be willing to pay a high price for it. So, there is a lot of commercialization, but it doesn't necessarily have to feel like commercialization. That when Andy Warhol was a brand, he was mass producing his art, and his silkscreen prints, most of which is what his art was, sell for millions and millions of dollars today, even though there may be 30 versions of the same one, and or more. And so it's not, commercialization isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how you do things. It's how you say things. Does that clarify for you, Neil?
Yes, sir. I guess another example would be if John Singer Sargent also sold John Singer Sargent's painting gloves, or Winslow Homer had a paint box that he also marketed, or Monet's umbrella. If Monet marketed an umbrella to help promote his artwork, would that make him? Would that change the impact that he had on art?
Well, I don't know. I'm wearing a pair of value specs right now that help people see values. My name is on these. It says Eric Rhodes Value Specs. I think things were probably a little bit different then. You want to be really careful. You want to be protective of a brand, Neil, but you also, if you look at some of the top names today, you can probably buy a Lori McNee paintbrush set or a Scott Christensen paintbrush set or something like that. A lot of artists are doing these. They may not be going crazy and over promoting them and making a lot of noise about them, but somebody sees that when they go to a particular brush company, they go, "Oh, yeah, I got to have that because I recognize that brand." That really reinforces the power of brand. Make sense for you?
Sure. Thank you.
All right. I hope I answered your question. Thank you, Neil. All right. Now we're going to go on. We have somebody else here. I can't see who it is.
Me.
Hey.
Hey.
Tell everybody your name.
My name's Diane Springer.
Hi, Diane. Where are you from?
I'm from West Virginia.
All right. Good. What's your question?
Well, I've been entering some shows locally, and I've been winning some awards and selling some. I've won 2 best of shows.
Congratulations.
We have a state thing, then I've gotten in those shows a couple times, and I wanted to know what you recommend for the next step. You have to excuse me, I have COVID.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Well, so when you say the next step, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm not really trying to make a living. I just want to get out there more, maybe get my prices higher.
Wait a minute. You just contradicted yourself. You're not trying to make a living, but you want to get your prices higher.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Are you selling paintings?
Yes.
So you are trying to make a living.
Well, I'm retired, but yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to make a little extra money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that changes a lot because okay, so the question then is, now that I'm winning awards, what's the next step for me?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea.
Oh, please.
I think Diane, you have to make a decision about how far you want to go, right? So I deal with lots and lots of artists who make a living as an artist, some of whom make millions of dollars.
That'd be okay.
That would be okay. But the people who make millions of dollars have a different level of commitment than the people who want to sell a couple extra paintings during retirement. And there's not a right or wrong for each one. But for instance, 2 artists that come to mind that are multimillionaires are spending a lot of money to draw new customers in, right? They spend money on advertising, they spend money on various forms of promotion. And so, you're not likely to want to spend money to bring buyers into you because you're trying to get a retirement income. So I think the starting point is ask yourself to define exactly what it is you want, because if you don't define it, if you don't have a target, you don't know what you're aiming for. And if you don't know what you're aiming for, you don't know what kind of ammunition you need, or what kind of, do you need a bow and arrow? Do you need a rifle? And so how many paintings have you sold in the last year, if you're willing to say?
8.
Say that again.
About 8.
Okay. And what price range?
In the $200 to $300 range.
Okay. And you want to get your prices up to what range?
Maybe $600.
Okay. So what do you think is the process you need to do to get the prices up?
I don't know.
Well, take a guess.
Oh, advertise?
Well, that might help. Any other ideas?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's play out a couple scenarios. If you want to get your prices up, just raise them.
Okay.
Now, most artists are afraid to raise their prices because they are insecure about their prices.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with who we are, right? So if, let's say, you're retired, you're living on a fixed income, and you can't see yourself ever spending more than $200 on a painting, then you're not likely to ever ask anybody to do any more than that, right? So
Okay.
if I'm a person who makes $50,000 a year, and I'm trying to sell paintings to people who are billionaires, I have to figure out how to flip my mindset. And so a lot of that has to do with self-confidence and just doing it. So a lot of it also has to do with environment and brand, right? So where did you sell those paintings?
Most of these were local shows within an hour or two of my where I live.
Okay. So did anybody, Diane, sell a painting in those local shows for more than what you sold for?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what's the highest price somebody got in the local show?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
$2,400.
$2,400, and yours was $200.
Yeah.
Why do you think that painting sold for $2,400 and you sold for $200?
Well, it could be better. It could be his value.
What does that mean? His value?
Well, his I don't know the word. Maybe his history and his marketing and.
So someone who's got a more prominent reputation?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think that person did to build their reputation?
I don't know.
Okay. Why don't you ask him?
Okay.
Yeah. Pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, I was really impressed with the fact that you got $2,400 for a painting in the show. How the heck did you do that? And then he'll tell you, and he'll probably say, you know, I spent a lot of time and effort building my brand and my reputation in the local community. And then whatever he tells you, that's what you probably should consider doing. Right? So, and by the way, branding doesn't have to be advertising. Branding can be looking for a way to stand out at an art show. I did a thing one time. I was asked to put a painting in a charity auction. And they said, you know, just give us a painting. You know, we've got a few paintings. And they said, just give us a little painting we can sell for a few $100s. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a painting worth $5,000, a big painting. They said, you would? I said, yeah, but here's what I want in return. They said, what? I said, I want you to hold that painting up and say, we have one of the biggest donations we've ever received from the artist Eric Rhodes. And they held it up and they made me stand up. And I also said to them, I want to be featured on your promotional materials. And so when they sent out their emails, when they sent out their direct mails, they said they had a picture of that painting on it, and it said, including this $5,000 painting from Eric Rhodes. So guess what happened? I built my brand, or started building my brand to that audience. And so you've got to look for ways you can do that. And building brand in a local community has to do with a lot of different little cuts, right? You've heard death by 1,000 cuts, right? The idea is, you know, you do a little bit of everything here and there. You do a little art show here, you know, you do it at a local restaurant, you do it local somewhere else, but look for a way to make sure that you're enhancing your brand in the midst of all of that. Get your picture, get your name, so that people keep going, oh, I know her, I know her, I know her. That's the person, that's the artist. When I did a strategy like that to local charities, I was getting calls from artists who said, all these local charities, want me to give them a painting, and if I gave every one of them a painting, I'd never get anywhere. And I said, well, no, give them all a painting. And they said, why? And it's because if you say, I'm going to give you a painting in exchange for this visibility, next thing you know, if you're in the local town and the Cancer Society's doing an auction and the high school's doing an auction and so-and-so's doing an auction, and you're getting your paintings out there everywhere, it's elevating your brand. And if they see you in the local cafe, they see you in different places, it's elevating your brand. I guarantee you that if you talk to that particular artist, he or she is likely to tell you, I just did a lot of stuff for a lot of years. And so you, because you're already retired, you don't want to spend the next 20 years doing it. So you just got to ramp it up and get aggressive and see if you can find a way to do it earlier. Make sense?
Yes. Thanks.
Does that help?
Yes. I mean, I've done some of that donate things, and I do some commission portraits, and
Yeah.
but I just didn't know if you had a good way to get a
Well,
little further.
not everybody has to spend money. I sell advertising. I love it when people buy things from me. But the reality is, you can accomplish a lot with a press release.
Mhm.
Newspapers have slow days, and people in your age group still read newspapers. A lot of them
Yeah.
do. And so newspapers are looking for stories, and Diane Springer donates painting to Cancer Society charity, for next week. You don't have to rely on them to do it. You look for ways to do it, and look for ways to, go to the country club if there is one in your community and say, hey, I want to do a thing where I'm doing free lessons. And you do a free lesson for a bunch of people, and you use that as an opportunity to get a bunch of people to sign up for a regular class that you do at the country club. And then you say, by the way, I put out some of my paintings, and you look for a subtle way to say, by the way, all of these are available. And, you do a demo, and you'll walk away from there selling 5 paintings, and you
Mhm.
can sell them at a higher price because you're in an environment where price matters. Right. And I'll talk about that a little later in this program
Yeah.
today.
And I'm about 2 and 3 hours away from some bigger cities, and I didn't know about trying to spread out that way, like Columbus and Cincinnati and Lexington,
Yep.
or inner shows that are, bigger shows with bigger, coverage.
Stand in the river where the money is flowing.
Okay.
Okay. And if the money, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana originally. And I know that people are more likely to spend more money on a painting in Chicago or Detroit than they are in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
And I'm in a very nice gallery in Fort Wayne, and I sell paintings for a decent price there. So, I think you've just got to ask yourself, how much work do I want to do? How important is this to me? It becomes a full-time job when you're doing all of those things, but the more you can get out, and if you can drive a couple of hours to Columbus or someplace close by and be in a show, as long as you don't have to, get a hotel room and spend a lot of money for that weekend,
Mhm.
it's great visibility. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Do you have another question while I've got you?
No,
All right, Diane, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Art School Live. I will tell you, this is Art School Live. We're here every weekday. I'm Eric Rhodes from Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. During the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do painting lessons with various artists. Fridays, we do Feedback Friday. And today, Monday, is Marketing Monday. Okay, so if you have questions and you want to come on live, the other people have already been gutsy and they've said, I'm coming on. So if you want to do it, just go to artschool.live, not .com, artschool.live/stream, and you can come on. We'll put that in the chat too right now. Okay, I'm going to go to a question that came from Katrina Gutierrez. Is social media marketing enough? Why would I pay for advertising? Well, that's, it's a tough question. It depends entirely on what your goals are as an artist. That's why I'm constantly hammering the idea of set your goals before you set your tactics or your strategy, because your goals define what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Diane, who we just talked to, her goal is to sell a little bit more art and to get a little bit more for her paintings. That's a different strategy then I want to sell 50 paintings a year or 100 paintings a year, and I want to sell them for $10,000 a piece. So you've got to know where you're going and where you want to go before you determine your strategy. So if you want to sell an occasional painting, social media is a really good way to go. Some people sell a lot of paintings on social media, but most of them don't do it the way you would think they do. There's a thing called organic post, and there's a thing called a paid post, right? So we'll talk about those. But the thing most people do not understand, and it just happened the other day. I had some friends here for the weekend, and she posted something, and she said, "Hey, did you see my post? Because I posted our picture." And I said, I looked on my Facebook, and I didn't see it. Now, once I went to her account and I clicked on her account and looked, I saw it there, but it had not appeared in my feed. Why does that happen? Well, just because you have 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 followers does not guarantee that every follower receives what you're putting out there. As a matter of fact, it's almost for sure that they won't. Facebook's number is 7%. They will, if you do a post, let's say you have 10,000 people on your Facebook account, and that would be a commercial account because a personal account can't be over 5,000, right? So let's say you have 10,000 people on your Facebook account and you post something, they're only going to show it to 700 of those people, right? And so why would they do that? Well, they're testing the water. If people respond to the post, if they press the like button, if they share it, if they interact with it with a comment, and then you interact back, they will then say, "Oh, this post is getting a lot of activity. I think I'll share it some more." So then they share it to 3% more of your group. And if there's more activity, then they'll share it for another 3%, and so on. And if there's a lot of activity, it ends up getting shared with everybody. That's why it's important to respond to comments when you can. That's why it's important to get people to make comments. Everybody watching right now, make a comment, any comment, because what will happen is that will make sure this show on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or X will get pushed out more, right? Especially if I respond to those comments. So you can do, obviously you could do paid Facebook. I spend a tremendous, I'm embarrassed. I can't even tell you how much money I spend on Facebook and Instagram advertising every year. It's a big number. I could hire a bunch of people for that number. And I do that because it's very effective sometimes, but it's only effective. They will push you out. Google will do the same thing. Will push you out to a lot of different places, but it's not necessarily the places you want to do. They want to be able to check that box and say, we fulfilled that ad. And so I have experts on my team, and I have experts that I work with who make sure that we do the right things to make sure that they get seen, because a lot of times you buy advertising, it doesn't get seen. I never, ever do the thing when they say boost this post. It just doesn't work. At least I found it doesn't. So I would say be careful about that. The goal here of advertising is you want to look for ways that you can find concentrated audiences of what you're trying to reach. The nice thing about social media is you can buy very specific interest groups. And, you might spend $200 and you might reach 50 people. Or if you're in a narrow group, you might spend $200 and reach 500 people. It just depends on the group and the narrowness. And the more desirable the group is, the more people pay for that. And they have an algorithm which determines the price. And as a result, you are, if it's a very popular category, money doesn't go very far. Now, my rule is find an audience. Remember, I talked about stand in the river where the money is flowing. Find an audience and look for a way to guarantee to reach that audience. For instance, the money is flowing in my magazine, Fine Art Connoisseur. It's a collector's magazine primarily. A lot of artists get it. And there are a lot of very wealthy, we have 310 that I know of, billionaires that read that magazine. I have one art gallery who tells me every time they run an ad, they get about an average of $80,000 in sales. And that's because they're selling $500,000 paintings. Now, do people selling $500 paintings do as well there? No, this is a market that is going to want, more expensive paintings. People want better, right? But you could go to a magazine that has 3 times or 4 times the audience that my magazine does and never reach those 300 billionaires. And so it depends on where you're buying. You want to stand in the river where the money is flowing. It just happens to be for certain people, the money is flowing there. There are other places you can go, websites, newspapers, magazines, local community things, tourism things, if you're in, a local tourist community. But advertising is by far the best thing you can do to grow your sales if you're committed to a lifetime of growing sales. And it takes time, it takes commitment, and it costs money. And so just because you have a lot of followers on social media doesn't mean they're going to all buy something. Now, you can, if you can get a 100,000 followers on Instagram, you're going to sell some more stuff, but you got to be really careful, because the minute you start promoting it wrong, you'll lose 10% of your followers in one day. So be very, very careful about it. But don't spend any money anywhere for any reason until you know a strategy. Okay, we've got another 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to get some more questions. But if you have a question, make sure you go to artschool.live/stream and follow the instructions, and you can come on live with us. And if you have an art marketing question, David C says, aside from the quality, what are the major criteria that buyers look to determine if a piece of art is worth paying 1,000 versus 10,000? David, there's a ton of research and there's a ton of books about this, how people buy, why they buy, how you should price things. And it has a lot to do with the following things. These are not in priority. Number one I have is environment. If you're selling at the farmer's market, you're going to get less money than if you're selling at the Palm Beach Art Show, right? And so environment matters. Where you're selling matters. If you're going to do a show and you want to get a high price for a painting, do it in a wealthy neighborhood, do it at the country club, do it at the top restaurant in town. If you're going to put those same paintings in the local diner, you're not going to get the high prices typically, unless you're in a local diner in Atherton, California, which is one of the wealthiest cities, or New Canaan, Connecticut, something like that. So environment matters. Also, brand matters. Brand is huge. People buy oftentimes based on brand. Now, they don't always know your brand, but people will pay more for a known brand. If all things are equal, if you're in a gallery and there's 2 paintings side by side, and this one is a known artist like Clyde Aspeveg or Scott Christensen, and this one is an unknown artist like me, then if the price were the same, which it's not likely to be, or if it's even close, they're going to go for the more well-known artists because it gives them bragging rights. And so that's why it's important to build your brand. And also there are other things, like there are clues. A clue might be, you walk into a gallery and you see a giant painting there, and that giant painting is $50,000. And then hanging next to that giant painting are 4 9x12 paintings that are $10,000 each. And you buy one of those. And then when your friends are around, you say, this artist is selling for $50,000. You're not saying you paid $50,000 for it, but people do that all the time. Perception is value. And these little clues help the idea that something is worth more. Cindy Barron, who is one of our video artists who does incredible paintings, she's in a very prominent art gallery in Carmel that sells nothing but dead masters. She's one of, maybe the only one or one of 2 artists that are living that are in there. There's another gallery in Laguna that sells mostly dead artists, but Kevin McPherson is in there. And that sends a signal that says Kevin McPherson is every bit as good as Edgar Payne ever was, right? And so environment matters, and those are little clues. Because her work is hanging, or his work is hanging with great artists, it says this is also a great artist. That's called the halo effect. The halo effect is, when I post my picture next to Carlos Santana or some president, or I won't go into politics because I'll get stuff, or some rock star or some famous artist or something, it it says, hey, he knows everybody. It elevates you in some way, right? Um, of course, frames are also great clues. If you put a painting in a cheap frame, I was looking at something this morning, an art gallery or something that some artist had posted, and the first thing I saw was cheap frames. And it just was a giant turnoff. I thought, I know those frames because I'm an artist too. And I thought, well, she paid $30 for that, $40 for that frame. And I've told stories on this program before about people who have a gallery who a painting wasn't selling. He changed it into a $2,400 frame, and he raised the price 10x, and it sold the first day. So things like that are clues. Also, quality of painting, of course, always matters, but not everybody understands quality. There are people at different levels who still have the money to buy something, and if it speaks to them, that may not be the quality that that 𝗕𝗂𝘆𝗶𝘆 hits. But if it speaks to them and they have the money and they're emotional about it, and that's really the key, selling emotion, then people will buy. The other thing is, the other clues is that, you talked about the difference between 1,000 and 10,000. For some people, $1,000 is kind of like pulling out a quarter out of their wallet. And for some people, $10,000 is no big deal. I've told the story before about my friend, the jeweler in Palm Beach. He said the women had, and it was mostly women, wives. He said the women have budgets they can't spend more than 10,000 a day. So he had jewelry that was $9,500. And so, but that's not considered a lot of money. I mean, their husbands are saying, yeah, you can spend $9,500 a day. I mean, if only, right? So I know people who would look at a $10,000 painting and say, well, it's not a good painting. I'll put it in the bathroom or I'll put it in the kitchen. But they'll only hang a $250,000 painting in the living room, or $1 million, or $20 million painting. I was over at a billionaire's house the other day, and they had a very important artist, a very historic painting. That painting had to be worth $250,000. And I took a picture of it so I can learn to copy it. But so my paintings will be that good, right? Someday. Anyway, price does matter. Price is perception. But again, that goes back to environment. If you're in the right environment, you can get a higher price. So branding, framing, environment, these are the things you can control the most. If people don't know your brand, look for ways to sell your brand in other ways, like on the card next to your painting, you could say, David is considered one of the finest impressionists alive, according to Eric Rhodes of Plein Air magazine. You look for people who will say nice things about you so you can build your credibility. I hope that is helpful. Let's see, we have time for one more live, and if you want to come on live, just go to artschool.live, not .com, artschool.live/stream, and we'll grab another one in the meantime and see if we can answer another question. Here is one. Let me just look. All right, here I am. Okay, this comes from Margie May Likens Oakley. Is it okay to come down on the price if somebody asks for a price reduction? Okay, so let's think about the mind of the buyer. What are they asking? If somebody says that they know the price of your painting somehow, it's on the tag, or maybe you told them, and they ask you for a discount, what are they saying? Anybody? Go into the comments. What are they saying if someone asks if you can get a better price? What are they saying? I think they're saying, I want to own that painting. Now, there are different kinds of people. There are different personality types. It pays to study personality types. There are 4 personality types. I'm not going to get into them. 2 of those personality types have no vision. 2 of those personality types have lots of vision. There is one particular personality price that they have to win always. They could have $100 million in the bank, and they could ask you for a discount. And if you don't give them a discount, they won't buy from you. That's only one personality type. Others necessarily won't do that. And you have to ask yourself, how important is the sale to me? one thing to do is if you're a painter and you're out in the public and you're painting out in the public, you need to know upfront what your prices are for your different sizes and be ready to answer questions and have how to handle objections and how to handle these things up front. So some people always expect a discount. Other people are just, some people, I'm the kind of guy, I'll ask for a discount and they say no, I'll go, oh, okay, because I want it, right? Because that's just who I am. So you can ask some questions, and so you have to be careful because sometimes you can ask these questions and they will offend people. But so they ask for a discount and you say, well, is this do you really need a discount? Because you see, I make my living as an artist, and these are one of a kind, and I price them fairly, and I can only do so many a year. And so, do you really need this discount? And some people will say, yeah, I really do. And so then you can kind of take it to the next level. And some people say, no, I really don't need that discount. And that will make them go away. I mean, they might go away, or they might just say, yeah, I'll pay the price, because most people will. Or you can say, yeah, I mean, I'm probably willing to, but let's talk about this. I like to ask questions up front to get them excited about the painting. So it's like, what is this painting? What is it about this painting that really speaks to you? So you want to get them talking about it and get them dreaming about it and thinking about it. And then you can say, where are you thinking of hanging it? All right. Because when they're thinking of hanging it, they're thinking about, I already bought this. So I'm thinking about putting this in the living room. Is this a gift? If it's a gift, do you want to give something, is it important to give something really, really good for that gift and something that people are going to know you paid a lot of money for? Can you tell me why you need a discount? Make them justify it. And sometimes people will, and I know people will say, they're poor, they can't afford this. I'd really like them to have it. I'm going to let it have it, for a real discount. Do you want it framed or unframed? Because that makes a difference, because I spend a lot of money on frames. Do you want me to finish it, varnish it, get it ready and send it to you? Or do you want to take it off the easel today? Because that impacts my price. Will it be cash or credit card? Because if it's credit card, I got to pay 5% fee for PayPal or Afterpay or credit card or whatever. If it's cash, I might be able to give you a little discount. Then you can go into something I've talked about in the past, and that is, if you were to visit the galleries that represent me, this painting would sell for $5,000. But because I don't have to send it to them, blah, 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 you make all your excuses, I would probably let it go for what the gallery pays me, or what the best answer of all of these really is just to say, well, I'd kind of rather not, but what do you have in mind? Because they might be thinking $10 or $50, and you might be thinking they're going to ask for $500 off. So ask, and then, if it fits, say, yeah, I would do that. But I'm going to tell you something else. When you say, yeah, I'll do that, but would you do me a favor? Since you're going to buy this one at this price, would you consider buying a second painting? I've got a whole bunch down here on the ground here. Would you consider buying a second one? And I'll give you an additional discount on the second one at 20%. And that way I can kind of make up my money, my loss. And some people do that, and then you're going to make more money than you ultimately would have. But I like to just say, make me an offer, tell me what you're thinking. And, I'll tell you if I can do it or not. And if they say, I want to give you half, and say, listen, I can't do that. What would work? What would work for you other than half? Don't say, well, I'll split the difference. Just say, well, what would work for you? And then they'll say something and you'll say, no, that still didn't work. And then, sometimes they'll walk away. Sometimes they'll keep going. Anyway, the other thing is you can do what grocery stores do. This is, there's a can of soup and it says 2 for $5. Now, if you were to look on the price of that can, they're actually $2.50 each. So it's the same price, but you go, oh, this is a bargain. So you could say, yeah, I'll do a discount for you, but I'll give you a 10% discount, but I need you to buy 2 of them. I'll buy this one and this one. Sometimes they'll do it. Sometimes they won't. Okay. I think that's all we've got. Do we have any more live? I don't think so. So we're here every weekday, 12 noon, and it's called Art School Live. And we hope that we're solving problems for you if you're selling anything. And this marketing advice applies to most businesses, whether you're a small business or not. But we do this because we're art marketing uh, focused on this particular Monday, Art Marketing Monday. I have a couple of gifts for you. First off, I have one called 97 Incredible Art Tips. It's on video. You can stream it instantly. If you go there right now, just go to 97artsecrets.com/free. It's got a whole bunch of artists and samples of some of their great tips and from some of the videos we've produced at painttube.tv. So that's yours for free. If you want the DVD copy, all we ask is that you pay the shipping. And you can go to 97artsecrets.com. We have 2 online art conferences coming up. Pastel Live, which is the world's leading pastel artists, are going to be teaching in September for 4 days, 3 days plus an optional 4th Essentials Day. Just go to pastellive.com. And we have a Realism Live coming up, and that's in November. And that's our complete conference. That's where we really get into figures and portraits. We do still life. We do landscapes. We do a lot of different mediums. Realism Live is coming up in November, 30 plus top instructors, and that's 4 days, realismlive.com. And if you can't make the dates, by the way, we have replays available on everything. Coming in January, we have Watercolor Live, and in March, we have Acrylic Live. And then coming up after that is going to be Plein Air Live. So we got a lot of lives going on. People love these because they don't have to get on an airplane, don't have to travel. A lot of people can't travel because they're stuck at home for whatever reason, jobs, family, health, you name it. And so this is a great thing. We did it for COVID, and we were going to stop it with COVID, and everybody's like, don't do that. Don't stop. And they're still coming. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Okay. If you have questions you want to submit, send them to me, Eric, at pleinairmagazine.com. Plein, Plein, Plein Air Magazine. That's the French way to say it. Some people say plein air. We're here every weekday at 12 noon. Free art lessons, free marketing lessons, and free feedback on Fridays. The goal is to help you learn how to learn how to art. Yeah. Have you arted today? Learn how to make art, and also to help you learn how to sell it and to get better, and to give you the confidence. If you watch 5 of our programs where we're giving lessons, it will give you the confidence to know you too can learn how to paint. And you can learn on this program for free. Then if you want, we have lots. We have over 700 professionally produced, in-depth, very, very long in some cases, very short in other cases, professionally produced art instruction videos at painttube.tv. I had some guests here this morning. They were leaving today. And the story was pretty interesting. The woman is retired. The husband is not retired. And she said something that really caught my attention. She said, I spent most of my life raising my kids and cooking and cleaning and dealing with kids. Plus I was working a job. Plus I was taking care of my husband. She said, it's my turn. I said, what do you mean? She said, it's my turn. She said, now I have, I'm retired. I don't have the job anymore. The kids are all grown. I've got grandkids. Now it's my turn. My turn to do what I want to do. My turn to do the things that are important to me. I said, well, what are those things? She said, I'm painting. She said, I always wanted to paint. And now that it's my turn, I'm painting. And I loved that. I loved hearing that. And we all go through different iterations. For me, it was when I got to be about 40 years old, and I'm thinking there's more to life than being a workaholic and working all day, every day. That's when I started painting. For others, it's like, I had a surgeon say, I've done this surgery 1,000 times. He says, I just can't do it anymore. I need something to get me excited about. And he started painting. So we would love for you guys to start painting. And we have all this for you on Art School Live to learn to paint. Make sure you share it with your friends, tell others about it. And please go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Just go to Art School Live on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. That way you get them when we go live. And if you hit the little bell will tell you when we go live. Thanks for tuning in today. And thanks for making comments. I'll get into the comments as soon as I'm done here. Take care. Bye-bye.